Alright, hey guys, it's Slippy here. So, 2024 is just around the corner. We're going to be into the new year here in a few days, and you know what that means as far as the UFC goes. We're going to have a whole lot of new fights, lots of new title fights, a bunch of pay-per-views, and that means new champions, potentially, and probably. There's always new champions every year. In this video, I just want to talk about who I think will be the champion of every division in the UFC by the end of 2024. I'm not picking how many times the belt's going to swap hands. I'm not picking who will be the champion, who will be the champions throughout 2024, because, you know, sometimes if a champion can't defend the belt, we're going to see the belt in one division possibly swap hands like 2 or 3 times. I'm just going to predict who I think will be the champ by the end of the year. And yeah, we'll just get going into it. I'm going to start just the lightest division. I'm going to work my way up to heavyweight. So we're going to start with women's strawweight. The women's divisions aren't that interesting, let's be honest. But strawweight, I think Zhang Weili will keep her belt till the end of 2024 unless she retires. I believe she's 34 or 35, so retirement could be coming up. I don't think she'll retire yet, though, because she just seems so far ahead of everyone else in the division. Yeah, I think she has a fight against Yan Xiaonan coming up, and she should be able to handily deal with her, probably through her wrestling. Xiaonan has shown a weakness to grappling. Zhang Weili has been putting a lot of work in her grappling lately, but she still is probably the best striker in the division. I don't see her losing to anybody anytime soon. I think she'll hold on to her belt by the end of the year. She'll probably retire as the greatest strawweight of all time. She's already really close, in my opinion. So yeah, moving up to women's flyweight, I think it's going to be Erin Blanchfield, same as Weili. I don't think anybody in the division can beat her right now. Alexa Grasso is the champion right now. She has 2 wins over Shevchenko, or no, a win and a draw over Shevchenko. I don't think Shevchenko's going to get the belt back. I think it'll be a while for. I think they actually have a trilogy coming up, I think. And I don't think Shevchenko will win the 3rd fight. And even if she does, I don't think she'll be able to beat Blanchfield. Blanchfield's wrestling is just too strong for any of these women to handle. It seems like the Talia Santos, who Blanchfield just beat in her last fight, was probably her toughest stylistic matchup in the whole division. And she was able to get past her. It wasn't the cleanest performance. It was a tough fight for her. But Blanchfield put up a really tough fight against Shevchenko as well. Blanchfield is just really strong for a female fighter. She's really strong. She hits really hard. She has good grappling, and Blanchfield was still able to get past her. I think she'll be able to use her grappling to dominate either Grasso or Shevchenko if she fights either of them. And I don't see this being a super active division. I think she'll beat whoever wins out of Shevchenko and Grasso. Maybe defend one more time against some can in the division, because most of them are cans. Let's be honest. And yeah, I think she'll end the year as the flyweight champion, and I don't think she'll lose the belt for a while either. I just don't see anybody in the division that can really pose much of a threat to her outside of Talia Santos, who has to get a couple wins to get back to the belt. Women's bantamweight, nobody cares. It's a dead division. There's nobody in there worth talking about. Nunes retired. She was destroying everybody. It'll probably be Juliana Pena or Raquel Pennington. I think they're going to probably fight for the vacant belt. I don't know if a vacant title fight has been announced yet. I'd be honest, I don't pay attention to women's bantamweight. And I don't think you need to be... I don't think not paying attention to women's bantamweight makes you a casual fan or anything. It's just there's not much to pay attention to. It's a pretty lame division. There's not really any exciting fights, not any exciting fighters. No one cares, but I'm going to just say Juliana Pena. Even though she's not any good, she's probably slightly better, or at least slightly tougher than most of the other girls in the division, so she'll probably be the champion by the end of the year, and she's going to call herself the GOAT or whatever, and she'll say that Nunes was afraid to fight her again, even though she got completely battered in their rematch. Moving on to the actually interesting divisions, men's flyweight. I think Pantoja's going to keep the belt. He's really, really good. I think his biggest threat in the division right now, or threats, are Moreno if they fight again, which I think he could beat Moreno again. I think, unfortunately, Moreno is not going to get any better at this point. I think he's taken too much damage and been through too many wars. He's probably just going to decline from here on out. It's kind of sad to say. I'm a big fan of Moreno. He's really fun to watch. He's super good, super technical, very well rounded. Pantoja is also very well rounded though. He has very dominant grappling at flyweight. He hits hard. He has a granite chin. I don't know if anybody could finish this guy. I think his toughest matchups are Moreno if they fight again, but like I said, I think he would win again, probably easier than last time. And then I think Manel Cap could give him problems if Manel Cap gets to the belt by the end of the year. I don't think he will, though. I think he's probably a couple wins away. He might. I could see Manel Cap being his next fight after Moreno. If Manel Cap maybe beats like a Kai Kara France or something like that. Outside of that, though, I mean, he's beat Royval, he's beat Moreno, he's beat Perez, I believe. He's beat a lot of these guys. I think he would beat Kai Kara France if they fought. I think he'd probably beat Manel Cap. Manel Cap is dangerous, though, and he'd be a tough fight. But I am choosing Pantoja to keep the belt through the end of the year. He's also pretty old, so I don't think we'll see him as a champion for that long. But yeah, I think he'll close out the year as the champion. Men's bantamweight. I'm going to pick Merab. I don't really like Merab that much. I don't think his style is fun, but he's got a fight with Cejudo coming up, and I think Cejudo's a really tough matchup for him, and I've been really back and forth on who I'm going to pick in this fight. But I am going to go with Merab, I think, to beat Cejudo just because he's younger. Cejudo, I believe, is 36 years old, and I saw some statistic somewhat recently that I think no one below is either bantamweight or down or featherweight. I think it's bantamweight and lower, like bantamweight and flyweight. No one has ever been able to get a win past 35 or something in a long time, I believe. I could be wrong. And that's just like these guys when they get older, that's okay in higher weight divisions. Seems like 38, 39-year-olds get by fine in heavyweight, light heavyweight. But when you get to these lower divisions like lightweight and down or welterweight and down, your age seems to matter a lot more. Cejudo, he's getting old. I think he's better than Merab almost everywhere, skill-wise, but Merab's cardio is just ridiculous, and it seems like his cardio and his pressure is just able to negate anything that his opponent can bring to the table. I think he'll beat Cejudo based on mostly holding him up against the cage and dirty boxing most of the fight, just pushing him around and stuffing takedowns. And then Sean O'Malley's fighting Chito Vera. I think Sean O'Malley's going to win, but regardless, whoever wins that fight, I think Merab beats both of them. I think he has a tough fight with both of them, especially O'Malley, because he could get chinned. I don't think Merab has the best chin, but I think he'll be able to take down O'Malley and actually hold him down. He doesn't do that to many guys. If not that, then again, push him against the cage, dirty box him, wear him out for the whole fight. I think he could really drain O'Malley, make him super tired, and kind of he just sap his power and wear him out and beat him that way. And then if Chito somehow beats O'Malley, if he just chins him, Chito has shown that he's really not that great against guys that wrestle. He seems very easy to control on the ground. He's very active off his back usually. He'll throw a lot of elbows and stuff, but Sandhagen was able to hold him down and control him. Frankie Edgar, like an old Frankie Edgar, was able to hold him down and control him and beat him for 80% of that fight before the front kick landed. And if Frankie Edgar, as an old man who's way past his prime, was able to do that, I think Merab will be able to do it much more dominantly, in probably every round of the fight. And I think Merab would like 49-46 both O'Malley and Chito Vera probably. So I think Merab is going to finish off the year as the bantamweight champion. Moving on to featherweight, this one's hard for me to pick. Because it's either Volk or Topuria, I think. I don't think there's anybody in the division outside Topuria right now that could beat Volk. I think Max is moving up to lightweight, so we probably won't see him fight Volk. And outside Topuria, there's not really anybody that's near a title shot that Volk hasn't already beaten. He's beat Yair pretty dominantly, finished him. He beat Brian Ortega very dominantly. He's beat Max Holloway 3 times now, and the 3rd time was very one-sided. Topuria, I think, poses a huge threat to Volk, mostly because Volk is coming off of a knockout, and Topuria hits really hard, and he's super dangerous in the pocket, and he's fast. He has good boxing. I am trusting Volk's skill and his fight IQ and his well-roundedness to get the win over Topuria, though. And then I have no idea who he's going to fight next. If they don't want to give him another rematch, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to shoot up somebody a little undeserving. Like maybe if Josh Emmett gets one more win, they would give it to Josh Emmett. I think Volk completely schools Josh Emmett. Maybe a Mavzar Evloev if he gets another win. But I think he beats all these guys, to be honest. So I am going to go with Volk, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was Topuria. I think it'll be Volk, though. I think Volk will probably get 2 more title defenses at featherweight. And then at his age, I wouldn't be surprised if after 2 more title defenses he retires as the greatest featherweight of all time, and I'd be happy to see it. I hope he doesn't stick around too long. Now that I think about it, though, he is the kind of guy that would probably stick around well past his prime. I hope that doesn't happen. But moving on to lightweight, I'm going to just stick with Islam Makhachev. He's got a title defense coming up against, I believe, Justin Gaethje. I don't think it's announced yet. It's either going to be Gaethje or Oliveira. It sounds like the UFC's leaning toward Gaethje. I think he pretty handily beats Gaethje. Gaethje's just shown to have zero jiu-jitsu on the ground. He's got good takedown defense, and he's very dangerous on the feet. He doesn't have the jiu-jitsu, though, to handle Islam once he gets to the ground, and he will go to the ground at some point, unless he chins Islam early, which I'm not going to trust to happen because Islam, in his recent fights, has really cleaned up his striking. He's not only the best grappler at lightweight now, he's probably top 3, top 5 best strikers at lightweight, and a lot of that could be the threat of the takedown, but I don't think it's just that. He has very good striking defense. He's one of the least hit fighters in the UFC. He might have the highest striking defense, rate or whatever you'd call it, out of anybody in the UFC, at least definitely out of anybody in lightweight. And he's got nasty counter striking. He dropped Oliveira, finished him off on the ground. He was able to knock out Volkanovski. In the first fight with Volkanovski, he was able to land good shots and hurt him multiple times, dropped him to a knee at one point. If he fights Gaethje, like I said, I think it'll go to the ground and Gaethje will get submitted pretty easily. If he fights Oliveira again, I don't think it'll be that different than the first fight. I think Islam is improving every single fight. He should be able to finish Oliveira again because Oliveira is a guy that either finishes you or gets finished. He's not going to go to some close decision war. That's just not his style. He either makes you look easy or he gets made to look easy. That's just how Oliveira rolls. And the only other guy right now in the division that I think is close to a title shot is Arman Tsarukyan. And I think he poses a threat, but I don't think he's there yet. I don't think he has enough of a grappling advantage or any grappling advantage at least. I don't think he can out-grapple Islam. I think it'd be really hard for Islam to get him down, though. Just judging by his body shape, he's short and really stocky and really strong. I think that fight would be mostly on the feet, and I think Islam is levels ahead of Tsarukyan on the feet. I know he was able to just knock out Dariush with that knee that missed and then the right hand over it, or a left hand, I think. But outside of a few moments of greatness on the feet, some good knockouts, he's not a guy that has the cleanest striking. It's pretty sloppy, and his kicks are really good, but when he's in the boxing range and he's just throwing hands, he looks really uncomfortable, and Islam doesn't. Islam looks very comfortable. He looks very confident. Like I've said, great defense, great counter striking. If they fight, I think it'll be on the feet, and I think it would be kind of a chess match on the feet. I don't really see a knockout, but I think Islam would be able to outstrike him every round of the fight and make it look not easy, but comfortable. And so I think Islam is going to be the champion at the end of the year. And then in 2025, I think he'll move up to welterweight and try for that belt. Moving on to welterweight. This is another tough one. I wouldn't be surprised if it stays Leon Edwards to the end of the year, but I am going to pick Shavkat Rakhmonov. He didn't super impress me in his last fight against Wonderboy. He seemed to struggle a bit to take Wonderboy down, which isn't a great sign. But that was just because he doesn't want to strike with Wonderboy, because Wonderboy is an amazing striker. I don't think there's anybody in the division that can strike with Wonderboy and come out on top over 5 rounds unless they chin him. You don't strike with Wonderboy for an entire fight. So I understood Shavkat wanting to just get him against the fence, drain him a little, and then get him down. And once he got him down, he pretty easily submitted him. If he fights Leon, I think he'll mix in more striking, and I think he would have a lot of success against Leon in the striking. I don't think he's a better striker than Leon, but I think he could hurt him a few times, have a pretty competitive fight on there, and then if it goes to the ground, Leon has really good takedown defense, but if it ever goes to the ground, I trust Shavkat to do more damage on the ground, have better ground and pound, get the better of the positional control. And if anybody's going to lock in a submission, it's going to be Shavkat. I wouldn't be surprised if he fights Leon Edwards at some point and gets a rear naked choke victory on the ground or a ground and pound TKO. Or maybe just winning a decision based on ground control and damage on the ground. Or even damage on the feet. Because the dude, Shavkat hits really hard too. He has a lot of pop in his shots. And he has a granite chin. Leon Edwards isn't known for his power. I know he got that knockout over Usman, but outside that, before that knockout, every time the UFC showed a highlight of Leon Edwards, it was the same highlight from years and years ago when he was just a young guy. And they always showed his one knockout in the UFC because pretty much everything else he did was a close decision against mid-level competition. He just doesn't have finishing power at all unless he lands that kick. And Shavkat has a lot of finishing ability. He has 100% finish rate. So I think Shavkat will be able to beat him. And if it's not against Leon, maybe Bilal fights Leon. And if somehow Bilal wins, which is probably more likely than we want to give Bilal credit for, I still would pick Leon. But I don't think Bilal has a chance against Shavkat. I think Shavkat handles Bilal pretty easily. So I'm going with Shavkat to be the champion at the end of the year in the welterweight division. Moving on to middleweight, I'm picking Dricus du Plessis. I don't think this is a hard one to pick. I think it's pretty obvious. I think he's just a really tough matchup for Strickland. I think he'll finish Strickland like midway through the fight. I think he'll knock out Strickland or take him down and TKO him on the ground. And then after that, he's already beat Whitaker. If he beats Strickland, his next fight would probably be Adesanya. The UFC might give Adesanya an immediate rematch, especially since Adesanya versus Dricus is a really big fight. And I think he can beat Adesanya with his physicality and his takedown ability, the takedown threat. I don't really see anybody in the division giving Dricus too many issues. I think his toughest matchups in the division right now are Jared Cannonier, Khamzat Chimaev, and maybe Ikram Aliskerov, but Khamzat and Ikram are a little ways away from the title shot unless the UFC is unfair and gives Khamzat a title shot after a controversial win over Kamaru Usman. If Khamzat gets another win, I could see him getting a title shot. He could pose problems for Dricus, but I'd still pick Dricus to win because I think Dricus has better cardio. Khamzat showed to get really tired against Usman in their fight, and Dricus is just too dangerous. He presents danger and like a finishing threat everywhere the fight is. He can finish you on the feet. He can finish you on the ground. He's really good everywhere, even though his style is weird and his striking doesn't look technically good. He was able to drop Whitaker and dominate him for most of that fight, take him down, and finish him. He took him down and beat him up in the first round, and then in the second round, he was able to drop him and just beat him up against the fence and finish him that way, which is super impressive. If you beat Whitaker like that and you finish him after winning the first round against him, I'm going to pick you to beat pretty much everybody at middleweight because Whitaker is shown to be levels ahead of every other middleweight so far. I think he's going to beat Strickland. I think he'll finish him. If he fights Adesanya next, I think he'll be able to finish Adesanya as well or just win a decision. And if it's Khamzat instead, I think he'll be able to win a decision against Khamzat after Khamzat tires out after the first couple rounds. So moving on to light heavyweight, I'm going to go with Jamal Hill. I think when Jamal Hill comes back and gets his title shot, I think he's going to win against whoever he has to fight. I feel like he's more well-rounded than Alex Pereira. I know a lot of people are really high on Alex Pereira. I think Alex Pereira is great. My problem with Alex Pereira is his striking defense just isn't all there. Dude gets hit a lot, and when he gets hit, he gets hurt. As powerful as that guy is, he's a bit of a glass cannon, I feel like, because he doesn't take shots super well. He has good recovery, but you can just tell when shots land clean on him that it hurts him. And I think Yuri was an easier matchup for him than Jamal because Yuri is just so open on the feet. Jamal is a lot more technically sound on the feet, and he hits really hard. He's got a lot of knockouts. He's got really slick boxing. He could take Alex Pereira down and probably beat him up on the ground. Even if Jamal doesn't fight Alex Pereira next, though, because Pereira might have to fight somebody else. Pereira might have to fight an Alexander Rakic or a Magomed Ankalaev, and I think I would pick Jamal to beat both those guys as well. It's probably a pretty unpopular opinion. I assume most people are picking Pereira to be the champion by the end of the year, but I genuinely believe Jamal is probably the best guy at light heavyweight right now. I think he's very underrated and doesn't get the credit that he deserved when he was the champion. A lot of people were saying that he's kind of a fake champion and Yuri was the real champ. I think Jamal beats Yuri. So yeah, I'm going with Jamal to be the light heavyweight champion by the end of the year. And the last one is heavyweight. And I'm going with Tom Aspinall. I don't think he's going to fight Jones for the belt. I don't think he's going to fight Stipe for the belt. I think Jones and Stipe are going to fight because the UFC is unfair that way. And Aspinall's going to have to defend his interim title against probably Cyril Gane. I bet he fights Cyril Gane to defend his interim belt. John Jones and Stipe fight. Jones beats him. They both retire. Aspinall beats Gane to keep his interim belt, and then after that he probably fights the winner of Curtis Blades and Jailton Almeida, for the real belt, which I think will be Curtis Blades. I think Curtis Blades can beat Jailton Almeida because Almeida has shown to be just a grappler with no striking at all. And I think he beats Curtis Blades if they fight for the belt. So, yeah, I think it's even if Aspinall has to fight Jones, if Jones does stick around, I think Aspinall has the tools to beat Jones. That's probably also a super unpopular opinion, but I think it's true. Aspinall's just so good, man. He's so fast for heavyweight. He has really fast hands. He has a lot of power. He knocked out Sergey Pavlovich when most people online were saying Sergey was going to knock him out, and he made Sergey look really easy, knocking him out in the first round. He has insane jiu-jitsu for a heavyweight, like Frank Mir jiu-jitsu for a heavyweight. Okay, what he did to Volkov, I'll never forget it. I stand by that being like the most impressive heavyweight performance I've ever seen. The way he just dismantled Volkov and armbarred him on the ground with that straight armbar. Super impressive. I don't think there's anyone in heavyweight that poses a threat to him really outside of Pavlovich, who he's knocked out. Pavlovich will always pose a threat just because of his power. Jones, because it's John Jones, but I think he'll retire. But if he sticks around, he could be a very difficult matchup. And Curtis Blades, just because he's well-rounded and he has good wrestling, so maybe it would turn into a striking match. And at heavyweight, a striking match will always be a big question mark. Anybody could come out on top in that situation. But I don't think anybody beats Aspinall. I think he's better than everyone in almost every department. I think he's a better striker than Cyril Gane, which is crazy. I know Cyril Gane is like an elite kickboxer, but I think, maybe I shouldn't say better striker, but I think Aspinall's a more effective and dangerous striker. He has more power. He's probably a little faster. Not as good at kicks, but it doesn't really matter when you're the one that's knocking everybody out. And Cyril Gane is going to razor close decisions with guys like Volkov, who Aspinall finished in one round. So, yeah, I think Aspinall's going to be the heavyweight champion, and I think Aspinall has a really good shot at breaking Stipe's record for the most consecutive title defenses at heavyweight and becoming seen as the greatest heavyweight of all time. Maybe it's a little premature to say that, but I truly believe that that's the case. It's just he seems like a different breed of heavyweight, and I don't think there's anyone in the division quite like him. I think he beats everybody. So yeah, that's the video, guys. That's who I think will be the champion of every division by the end of the year. I'm sure a bunch of people are going to disagree with what I said. Let me know what you guys think, which ones you disagreed with me on in the comments, who you think will be the champions. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you could subscribe, that would be cool. Yeah, thank you for watching. Talk to you guys later. Have a good one.